Welcome back to Peril Pending, where today we're looking at Starmer's social media ban. Yeah, today was obviously going to be about this. It is real fresh, and I have a lot of opinions on what's going on here. I've shifted saying that this was a good idea to this is a bad idea, and honestly, I'm settling somewhere in the middle with a little bit more of a lean towards I think this is a bad idea, or at the very least, it's not being implemented correctly. Our first story here, main story, and there's quite a few, so buckle up. This will be a bit of a long one, but hopefully it'll answer some questions and very much likely raise a few more. Links to the full articles for everything mentioned here will be in the description below. What you need to know about Keir Starmer's under 16 social media ban. This is from the Huffington Post. Let's get into it. Keir Starmer has unveiled a dramatic new policy to ban under 16s from using social media. The Prime Minister said this was the right choice, as certain platforms do not create a happy and safe environment for children. That's true. Have they ever said it was a happy environment? No, that already seems like an ill-informed quote. The decision comes after years of campaigners calling for greater protections for children online, amid fears the platforms are too addictive, expose youths to harmful and illegal content, and make it easier for bullies to access children. Yes, I don't think a single soul out there wants children to be exposed to this, apart from, in my opinion, the, heads of reform, because they need hate and bullies. Australia also introduced a comparable ban in December. We have to resist the kind of learned helplessness, he insists, saying the government can and will change things, adding, "This is not something I do lightly." The government can try. Will they? I don't know, because some of the stuff that we're going to get into here, I don't know how it's going to be enforceable. And this is not something I do lightly. I honestly think he is doing this lightly, and we'll get into why, but I don't think he's thought about this, and it seems like he's trying to rush it through. Starmer said the government intends to move quickly and hopes to pass regulation before Christmas. See, exactly. So 6 months to do all of this? It took 8 years to get the online safety bill through, and even that hasn't been implemented correctly. I'm not confident that this can be done, as well-intentioned as it may be. I don't think in 6 months this can be done appropriately. There will be cracks, there will be loopholes, there will be ways around it, and it's going to be used as a tool by people in Reform, by the Conservatives, by people in Restore, as a way to say, look at this dystopian Starmer, look at surveillance Starmer, he's trying to watch what you want to do online. They will use this, and because it's not being implemented correctly, you won't be able to point to its successes. That's just my opinion. That would mean the ban may come in around spring of 2027. The article states that MPs voted against a social media ban for under 16s in the UK back in March. And this is true. I had a quick look at this. So this is, again, another question. If the MPs have voted against it, how is Starmer allowed to just go ahead with it? I'm probably being naive here, but how can you do that? If the majority voted against it, how are you allowed to just ignore the vote and go ahead with it anyways? That's another question. MPs voted against a social media ban. Oh, sorry, my bad. But Starmer said on Monday that he is absolutely clear that a ban is the right idea after a consultation process with parents whose children have been impacted. The consultation, with more than 116,000 responses, concluded in May and found that 85% of parents think the dangers of social media outweigh the benefits. And here's one of my biggest gripes with this. There are roughly 54 million adults, that's people aged 18 and over, in the UK. So 116,000 is 0.2% of the population, and not even 100% of those agreed that this is the right idea. So how can less than 0.2% of the country be allowed to dictate what happens to the rest of us? Again, this is why more work needs to be done. You can't just rush through this consultation process. 116,000 sounds like a lot, but we're a population of 54 million adults. That's not good enough. Starmer insists this was not a legacy announcement, even though he is widely expected to face a direct challenge to his leadership from Andy Burnham in the coming weeks, if the Greater Manchester Mayor wins the Makerfield by-election on Thursday and gets a seat in Parliament. Again, he says it's not, but the fact that it's being rushed through, it gives that feeling. TikTok, Snapchat, X, Facebook and Instagram will be included, but messaging services like WhatsApp and Signal will not be part of the ban. And here is another question I have about this. What about Facebook Messenger, for example? That is just a messaging service. Why isn't that included? I'm fine with TikTok, Snapchat, X, and Facebook and Instagram. I also think Blue Sky should be added to that. The criteria for this was platforms that allow you to create and interact with other content, and Blue Sky falls into that. Whether he's missed that off because he doesn't know what it does, because it's not a very widespread talked about one, I don't know. But again, this just screams like a rush job, because other outlets have named other platforms, as we'll get to. He's quoted as saying that these restrictions, which together with the ban go further than any other country, and they will apply to a wider range of online services, including on gaming sites, the government's readout says. Just because your ban goes further doesn't mean it's going to be any good. Lots of things have been banned previously, people found ways around them. Like, for example, in this BBC article, they state that the government is yet to release the full list of platforms affected, but they said YouTube, Facebook and X would also be included. So now 2 different articles are giving different platforms. Also, why is YouTube being banned? It is a great resource. It is fantastic for education, and also there already is age verification on here. So I'm not sure why that's going to be banned. That BBC article goes on to say that messaging apps, such as WhatsApp and Signal, as we've already gone over, will not be banned. And here is another question. I should have had some sound effect for this. But neither will online gaming platform Roblox. You know, Roblox, that platform that is notorious for grooming. Here's one article that I found. I searched Roblox Predator. I chucked that into a search engine, and immediately I get a huge list of stories like this. How a sexual predator groomed girl 14 he met on Roblox. And like this, Roblox paedophile problem. And like this, Roblox, Discord sued after 15-year-old boy who was allegedly groomed online before he died by suicide. No research has been done into this, clearly. This would have been top of the list to get banned. Nobody, as far as I'm aware, has been groomed on YouTube, for example. But Roblox, they just keep coming. Links to all these articles, if you're interested, will be below. But seriously, just type in Roblox Predator into any search engine, and you'll see a horrifying amount of stories. The main article from the Huffington Post continues. Restrictions on these functionalities will also be on by default for under 16 and 17-year-olds to prevent a cliff edge at 16. The government will also be working in more detail at overnight curfews and breaks in infinite scrolling for under 18-year-olds, and will set out more detail in July. Now, look at how disjointed this is. So now it's 16 and 17-year-olds that are going to be affected. And it's also all under 18-year-olds as well. Like, this is quite clearly rushed. And it sounds like, on the surface, this is supposed to be about helping children. But this is the wrong way around it. You're trying to protect children, but you're allowing them to go on platforms that have grooming problems because you haven't done research into those. I saw one person yesterday on the social media is talking about how their child has been using YouTube to help them study for GCSEs. Why has no research been done into that? I know YouTube Kids isn't going to be banned, but YouTube Kids isn't an educational resource. Not for GCSEs or anything that you would do in class. That's like Miss Rachel and Bluey. Smartphone-free childhood co-founder Joe Ryrie, celebrated the news, saying it felt like a turning point after fighting a losing battle against tech firms. The social media ban won't solve every problem overnight, but it is a major step forward because millions of children will now get a few more years to grow up before entering online environments that were never designed with their well-being in mind, he said. And again, this is why we need to come at this. We need to think about it. We need to think about what's happening here and not react. I've already seen Farage and Restore and Jenkins and all the usual lot trying to stir up people's emotions about this, because obviously I got stirred up as well originally. You know, you tell me that you're immediately going to ban something and now I'm going to have a bunch of ID scanned before I can go onto YouTube. That riles me up. That does. But we shouldn't react. We should take a breath, get the information, and think. Because at the end of the day, it is trying to protect children. I still think that this is more bad than good. And we'll get into one of the fathers here that we're going to be talking about from the original article, who raises pretty much exactly what I think Starmer should be targeting and not doing a blanket ban. The article continues. However, the father of a teenager who took her own life after viewing harmful content online accused the PM of gambling with young people's lives. Ian Russell accused the Prime Minister of, quote, playing politics by rushing the announcement amid speculation about his future. His daughter Molly took her own life aged 14 after viewing harmful content online. Andy Burrows, chief executive of the Molly Rose Foundation, also warned against such a ban last week. He told the BBC Breakfast, in Australia, this is not working. It's not something that is enforceable. Correct. Absolutely correct. Because at the end of the day, if you just need to scan some facial recognition software, if that software is anything like what the current online safety bill is, it can be fooled by a video game. It can be fooled by a stone bust of a human male's face. This is not difficult software to bypass. All you're doing is you're giving people ammunition to say, oi, that's surveillance Starmer. He's trying to track us. And it will work. It worked on me, and I like to think that I've got a bit more of a level head. It's not enforceable, especially the curfews. Could you sound more like an old-fashioned dad from like a 90s TV movie? Oh, you've got a curfew now. How are you going to enforce that? This looks like policy making being done on the back of a fag packet. And frankly, that is incredibly high risk. When we are talking about children's safety, we should be following the evidence. He said the focus should be on banning features like autoplay, infinite scroll, and algorithms which bombard children with harmful material. Exactly right. Bingo. That's the right thing to do. You need to go after the companies, because they are the ones that have created these algorithms and made them more addictive than gambling. That's why these children, that's why these adults, that's why everybody is glued to social media. Banning will not work. That will not fix this. But if you go to the companies, I'm not in politics. I don't know where to go with this, but introduce legislation about companies operating in the United Kingdom and how, if they want to continue or whatever, they'll need to fix this algorithm. They'll need to prove it's not addictive. They'll need to prove that it's not, as this gentleman here says, bombarding anyone with harmful material like we all know they do, because that's how they get their engagement. A blanket ban isn't going to work. And as we've clearly seen here, Starmer, you haven't even done any kind of research into which platforms are the worst. This is being rushed through. This is going to look like you're just trying to create some legacy because of the turmoil that Labour is currently facing. You're playing politics with the lives of children.